Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Renuka with the evening news. The headlines. Political crisis deepens in Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe announces he will resign to make way for all-party government amid nationwide protests. Demonstrators break into Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's official residence asking him to step down. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Natural Farming Conclave at Surat in Gujarat virtually tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah chairs Northern Zonal Council meeting at Jaipur in Rajasthan. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh says Panchayati Raj institutions essential messengers of Prime Minister Modi's public welfare schemes. In Jammu and Kashmir, rescue operation underway after cloud burst at Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine. Tricolour flown half-mast on day of national mourning across India as mark of respect to former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu extend greetings on the eve of Eid al-Zuha. In cricket, second T20 between India and England underway in Birmingham. And in Wimbledon tennis, Ons Jabeur faces Elena Rybakina. In women's singles title clash, Novak Djokovic to take on Nick Kyrgios in men's singles final tomorrow. The news in detail now. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today announced that he will resign to make way for an all-party government to take over in the country amid nationwide protests. This comes after demonstrators today broke into Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's official residence asking him to step down amid months of mounting public anger over the country's worst economic crisis in 7 decades. Prime Minister's media division said that Prime Minister Wickremesinghe will resign after an all-party government is established and the majority is secured in the parliament. His office has said that Mr. Wickremesinghe will continue as the Prime Minister until then. Earlier, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe had called an emergency meeting with party leaders today in order to control the current situation. The media report said the meeting was also attended by the Speaker, where the ministers urged President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to tender his resignation in order to stabilize the situation in the country. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters in capital Colombo today stormed the official residence of President Rajapaksa. According to local media reports, President Rajapaksa was removed from the official residence yesterday and moved to the army headquarters for his safety ahead of the planned rally over the weekend after intelligence reports suggested that the situation may go out of control. Military personnel and police were unable to hold back the crowd as they chanted slogans asking President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down. Earlier this month, newly appointed Prime Minister Wickremesinghe said that the nation was targeting $5 billion for repayments and $1 billion to support the country's reserves. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a natural farming conclave through video conferencing tomorrow. The conclave is being organized at Surat in Gujarat. It will witness participation of thousands of farmers and all other stakeholders who have made adoption of natural farming in Surat a success story. We have more from our correspondent.
As a part of Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had exhorted at least 75 farmers in each village to adopt natural way of farming in his address at Gujarat Panchayat Mahasammelan in March this year. Guided by vision of the Prime Minister, Surat district undertook a concerted and coordinated effort to sensitize and motivate different stakeholders and institutions like farmer groups, elected representatives, cooperatives and banks to help farmers in adoption of natural farming. Consequently, at least 75 farmers were identified in each Gram Panchayat and were motivated and trained to undertake natural farming. The farmers were trained in 90 different clusters, resulting in training of more than 41,000 farmers across the district. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
The Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay foundation stone of various development projects worth more than 16,000 crore rupees at Deoghar in Jharkhand on the 12th of this month. Mr. Modi will inaugurate the Deoghar airport to provide direct connectivity to Baba Baidyanath Dham, which is an important religious destination for devotees from all over the country. Our correspondent has filed this report.
The airport, spread across 638 acres of land and built with a cost of over 400 crore rupees, will provide direct connectivity for devotees and tourists visiting Baba Baidyanath Dham temple situated in Devghar, which is considered as one of the 12 Jyotirlings of the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also inaugurate the newly built 250-bedded AIIMS hospital in Devghar. Mr. Modi will also virtually inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of development projects worth more than rupees 16,835 crores, which includes 13 new 8-lane road highways, direct railway route for Varanasi from Devghar, redevelopment of Ranchi railway terminal and laying of natural gas pipeline project. Prime Minister will also offer prayers at Baba Baidyanath Dham temple and later address a public rally at Devghar College ground. Shilpi, AIR News, Ranchi.
In the evening, the Prime Minister will address the concluding ceremony of the centenary celebrations of Bihar Legislative Assembly in Patna. He will inaugurate Shatabdi Smriti Stambh, which has been built to commemorate 100 years of Bihar Vidhan Sabha. Mr. Modi will also lay the foundation stone of Vidhan Sabha Museum.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired the 30th meeting of the Northern Zonal Council at Jaipur in Rajasthan today. The Northern Zonal Council comprises Rajasthan, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab and Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Delhi and Chandigarh. The meeting was attended by Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Jairam Thakur and Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena, Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, Ladakh Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur and Chandigarh's Administrator Mawari Lal Purohit along with senior officers. Internal security, roads, transport, industries, water, power and other issues of common interests were discussed at the meeting. The regional councils work under cooperative federalism and provide a forum for discussion in a structured manner on issues affecting one or more states or issues between the centre and the states. Home Minister Amit Shah met Rajasthan Governor Kalraj Mishra at Raj Bhavan this evening. After the Northern Zonal Council meeting, Mr. Shah reached the BJP state office where he held informal meeting with the party office bearers. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has described Panchayati Raj institutions, PRI, and their representatives as the essential messengers of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's welfare schemes. He said that panchs, sarpanchs, as well as the elected representatives in block and district councils can play a distinct role in reaching out to the last man in the queue and ensuring him benefits of welfare schemes introduced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the last 8 years. Dr. Singh was addressing a gathering of the representatives of Panchayati Raj institutions in New Delhi today. The minister called for 100% coverage of beneficiaries and creating complete awareness of welfare schemes among people. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today called for developing forward-looking, world-class institutions that work on the principle of student-first, teacher-led learning. The minister was speaking at the closing ceremony of Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam, which was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. The 3-day Samagam concluded today with education leaders resolving to work collectively for transforming India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. Addressing the valedictory session, Education Minister said, "We have to work to ensure access, inclusivity, equitability, affordability and quality in higher education."
The nation observed one day of state mourning throughout India today as a mark of respect to former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, who was assassinated at a political campaign in Nara city of Japan yesterday. As a mark of respect for Abe, the Indian national flag was flown at half-mast on all the government buildings where it is flown regularly. Speaking at the first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture in New Delhi yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembered former Prime Minister of Japan Shinzo Abe and expressed grief over the demise of his friend.
मेरे घनिष्ठ मित्र और जापान के पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री श्री शिंजो आबे अब हमारे बीच नहीं रहे हैं। मेरे लिए अपूरणीय क्षति और असहनीय पीड़ा का दिन है। शिंजो आबे जी मेरे तो साथी थे ही, वो भारत के भी उतने ही विश्वसनीय दोस्त थे। उनके कार्यकाल में भारत जापान में उनके जो राजनीतिक संबंध थे हमारे, वो को नई ऊंचाई तो मिली ही। हमने दोनों देशों की साझी विरासत से जुड़े रिश्तों को भी खूब खूब आगे बढ़ाया। आज भारत के विकास की जो गति है, जापान के सहयोग से हमारे यहाँ जो कार्य हो रहे हैं, इनके जरिए आबे जी भारत के जनमन में सालों तक बसे रहेंगे। मैं एक बार फिर दुखी मन से मेरे दोस्त को श्रद्धांजलि देता हूँ।
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited the Embassy of Japan today to convey his condolences to Ambassador Satoshi Suzuki on the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. In a series of tweets, Dr. Jaishankar said that for more than 2 decades, Shinzo Abe has symbolized growing relationship between India and Japan. He said Shinzo Abe placed India-Japan ties in a larger global context of the free and open Indo-Pacific. Dr. Jaishankar said that at a personal level, he was the very embodiment of grace and consideration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, US President Joe Biden and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese issued a rare joint statement today to mourn the death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, describing him as a transformative leader for Japan's relations with other countries. They will honor Abe's memory by enhancing their efforts to ensure a peaceful and prosperous region, they said. The three leaders recall Abe's pioneering work in the establishment of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, which groups Australia, India, Japan and the US, and in pushing a vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific region.
President Ramnath Kovind has said India will be on top of the list of countries with the world's youngest population by 2030. Quoting the United Nations Population Fund's report, President Kovind said youth should contribute maximum in the progress and development of the country. The President was addressing a youth sammelan in New Delhi today. He expressed happiness that India's youth are making a new identity in the world.
युवा किसी भी देश का वर्तमान और भविष्य दोनों होते हैं। उनकी प्रतिभा और क्षमता देश को गौरव प्रदान करने में विशेष भूमिका निभाती है। अतः ये कहना उचित होगा कि आज का युवा कल का इतिहास निर्माता है। आप सबके समक्ष खड़े होकर महसूस कर सकता हूं कि मैं अपने देश के स्वर्णिम भविष्य के सामने खड़ा हूं। भारत में किशोर और युवाओं की संख्या संपूर्ण विश्व में सबसे अधिक है। ये हमारा उद्देश्य होना चाहिए कि हमारे युवा देश के विकास एवं उन्नति में अधिक से अधिक अपना योगदान दें। युवा के उद्यम और दृढ़ता पर ही हमारे देश का उज्जवल भविष्य निर्भर करता है।
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said the new national education policy is a very good step in the right direction and it should be honoured and implemented in letter and spirit. Addressing the Platinum Jubilee celebration of Mount Carmel College in Bengaluru today, the Vice President said new education policy is also giving importance to mother tongue. Stressing upon women's education, Mr. Naidu said 50% of the population are women and they should be given equal right, place and opportunity for their employment. He said women's education needs to be further supported by the government. The Vice President said India is the most tolerant country in the world and secularism is safe in this country, not because of any government or party, but because it is in the blood and veins of every individual living in the country.
The 15th episode of Abhyas program will be aired today. The topic for this episode is Geography. All India Radio News has got an overwhelming response for the show with questions received from across the country. Dr. Amrita Bajaj, Professor, Department of Geography, Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, New Delhi, will be responding to the queries of the aspirants. This episode of Abhyas will be on air at 100.1 FM Gold at 9:30 p.m. tonight. You can access it on Twitter at AIR News Alerts or on AIR News official YouTube channel and also on the NewsOn AIR app. Also for the next episode on 16th of July, the subject chosen is Sociology. Students can send their queries on WhatsApp number 928-909-4044 or mail on abhyas.air@gmail.com. The deadline for submission of questions is 13th of July.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Political crisis deepens in Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe announces he will resign to make way for all-party government amid nationwide protests. Demonstrators break into Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's official residence, asking him to step down. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address a natural farming conclave at Surat in Gujarat virtually tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah chairs Northern Zonal Council meeting at Jaipur in Rajasthan. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh says Panchayati Raj institutions essential messengers of Prime Minister Modi's public welfare schemes. In Jammu and Kashmir, rescue operation underway after cloudburst at Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine. Tricolour flown half-mast on day of national mourning across India as mark of respect to former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu extend greetings on eve of Eid al-Zuha. In cricket, second T20 between India and England underway in Birmingham. And in Wimbledon tennis, Elena Rybakina clinches women's single title, defeating Ons Jabeur in the final. Novak Djokovic to take on Nick Kyrgios in men's single summit clash tomorrow. For quick news updates on the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back. You are tuned to the evening news on All India Radio. In Jammu and Kashmir, a multi-agency search and rescue operation is underway following cloudburst at Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine. A joint search and rescue operation is being carried out by Jammu and Kashmir Police, NDRF, ITBP and Army personnel. The cloudburst, which occurred last evening, led to flash flood near the holy cave shrine of Sri Amarnath Ji. Water came from above and sides of the cave after heavy rains at the upper reaches. The death toll in the wake of the incident has now risen to 15. About 65 people were injured in the incident, out of which 2 persons were taken out from the debris alive and are being treated in the hospital. The yatra from both Pahalgam and Baltal routes has been temporarily suspended in view of the cloudburst. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha visited Sher-e-Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences SKIMS hospital in Srinagar today to inquire about the health of pilgrims who were injured in the tragic cloudburst incident. The Lieutenant Governor met the doctors treating the injured and stressed for all possible treatment for their speedy recovery. 7 pilgrims who were injured during the tragic incident are undergoing treatment at the hospital and are being monitored by senior health staff.
In Manipur, the death toll due to landslide in Noni district has increased to 50 so far. The rescue and intense search operations is underway since 30th of June, and the search party has been clearing the debris to find the bodies of 11 missing persons. The authorities said that the body found today is believed to be of a railway official. 18 people who got injured in the incident are receiving treatment in different hospitals. Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde and Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis met President Ramnath Kovind at the Rashtrapati Bhavan today. After meeting President Kovind, both leaders met BJP President JP Nadda. Our correspondent quoting sources report, in the meeting, expansion of the Maharashtra cabinet was discussed. The Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra also called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi this evening. Yesterday, Mr. Shinde and Mr. Fadnavis met Home Minister Amit Shah. Addressing a press conference at Delhi's Maharashtra Sadan today, Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde said the state, which gets support from the central government, takes major strides on the developmental front. He said, to give justice to all sections of the society, centre's assistance is of paramount importance.
महाराष्ट्र में जो नई सरकार स्थापित हुई है बहुत ही मजबूत सरकार है, जिसके पास मेजोरिटी है 164 और सामने जो है 99 है, तो हम लोग मेजोरिटी में अभी जो मौका मिला है तो उसका पूरा उपयोग जो है ये महाराष्ट्र के विकास के लिए हम लोग करेंगे.
Speaking about the pending cabinet expansion in Maharashtra after the new government came to power in the state, Mr. Shinde said deliberations in this regard will take place after tomorrow's Ashadi Ekadashi.
कल आषाढ़ी एकादशी का जो बड़ा पंढरपुर में कार्यक्रम होता है, पूजा होती है, वो होने के बाद हम मुंबई जाएंगे. मुंबई में हम लोग दोनों भी उप मुख्यमंत्री और मैं बैठूंगा, उसके बाद उसके ऊपर चर्चा करेंगे.
In Maharashtra, the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of the new government have been sworn in, while the rest of the ministers are to be sworn in. The Eknath Shinde-led government won the floor test in the State Assembly on Monday by a margin of 164 to 99 votes.
Home Minister Amit Shah will join the 6th National Conclave on Mines and Minerals as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Iconic Week celebrations on the 12th of this month in New Delhi. Ministry of Mines highlighted that the national level award Rashtriya Khanij Vikas Puraskar will be conferred to the best performing states in the field of mining during the conclave. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has expressed grief over the death of Sadhana Gupta, wife of Samajwadi Party founder Mulayam Singh Yadav. She died after a prolonged illness at Gurugram's Medanta Hospital today. In Uttar Pradesh, 5 people were killed in a road accident in Chitrakoot district. The police said the mishap took place in Bharat area of the district when the driver of a pickup loader lost control of the vehicle and hit several people sleeping on the footpath this morning. 5 persons died on the spot while others who were injured have been admitted to a nearby hospital. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed grief over the loss of lives due to road accident in Chitrakoot.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met Professor of Economics and Government at London School of Economics Nicholas Stern in New Delhi and discussed diverse issues. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said his passion towards the environment and nuanced understanding of policy-related issues is admirable. Mr. Modi said Professor Stern is also optimistic about India and believes in the skills of 130 crore Indians. In Odisha, the world-famous 9-day Bahuta Yatra or the Return Car Festival concluded peacefully in the holy city of Puri today. The occasion marks the return of Lord Jagannath and his siblings back to Sri Mandir from the Sri Gundicha temple after 7-day sojourn. The 3 chariots roll down the grand road amidst a sea of devotees and are stationed near the Sri Mandir, the divine abode of the deities. Tomorrow, the ritual of Sunabhesha will be held and the chariot-borne deities will be adorned with golden attire.
President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have extended greetings to the people of the country on the eve of Eid al-Zuha. In his message, the President called upon people to rededicate themselves to the service of mankind and work for the prosperity and development of the nation. In a message, Mr. Naidu said that Eid al-Zuha epitomizes the spirit of sacrifice and devotion to God, and it is an occasion to share and care and show compassion towards the needy and the poor. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember nationalist Satyanarayan Sinha, who was born on the 9th of July 1900 in Darbhanga, Bihar. Sinha was involved in India's freedom struggle and became a member of the Indian National Congress Party in 1924.
Mere Bharat ke kanthhar, tujhko shat shat vandan Bihar.
Sinha did his schooling at Muzaffarpur Zilla School and later went on to receive a law degree from the Patna University. He grew up to be an agriculturist and zamindar and later joined Bihar politics. He became a member of the Bihar Legislative Council in 1926 and member of the Central Legislative Assembly in 1934.
Sinha was elected to the Constituent Assembly from Bihar. He was elected to the first 3 Lok Sabhas, and during his tenures at the Lok Sabha, he held several portfolios including the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Information and Broadcasting and Communications. He was appointed as the Governor of Madhya Pradesh between 1971 and 1977. AIR News salutes the great Indian.
We also remember independence activist Tara Singh, who died on the 9th of July, 1925. A resident of district Jalandhar, Punjab, Tara Singh joined the 11th non-violent Shahidi Jatha to Jaito Gurdwara Gangsar, Nabha in 1925 against the British order prohibiting all prayer assemblies there. When the Jatha reached the Gurdwara, the police stopped it and arrested a large number of its members. Tara Singh was arrested and died in police custody on the 9th of July 1925. AIR News salutes the brave martyr.
We remember independence activist Denu Shah, who took part in the First War of Independence in 1857. A resident of Farrukhabad, Uttar Pradesh, Shah was initially a sepoy in the British Indian Army but left the service during the outbreak of uprising. He fought at various places against the British but was caught by the British troops during an engagement. Denu Shah was executed by hanging on the 9th of July 1858. We salute the brave son of the soil.
We also remember Martyr Gunu Singh, who was executed by the British on the 9th of July 1857. A resident of Belonja, Uttar Pradesh, Gunu Singh was initially under the service of the 23rd Regiment Native Infantry of the British Army. He left the service and joined the uprising of 1857. Gunu Singh was caught by the British and charged with desertion and mutiny. He was sentenced to death and executed on the 9th of July 1857. AIR News salutes the brave independence activist.
We also remember independence activist Lakshman Prasad, who hailed from Ghazipur, Uttar Pradesh. A soldier in the 23rd Regiment of the English East India Company's army, he participated in the First War of Independence in 1857. He was caught by the company's forces and hanged on the 9th of July 1857. AIR News salutes the brave son of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In cricket, India have set a victory target of 171 runs before England in the second T20 International of the three-match series at Edgbaston in Birmingham. In response, England were 0 for 1 in 4 balls when reports last came in. Indian team is leading the series 1-0 with a win in the first encounter on Thursday at the Azias Ball Stadium in Southampton. In Wimbledon tennis, 17th seed Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan has clinched the women's single title, defeating 3rd seed Onur Jabeur of Tunisia in the final 3-6, 6-2, 6-2 this evening. Elena has become the first tennis player from Kazakhstan to win a Grand Slam single championship. In men's singles, top seed Novak Djokovic will take on Australian Nick Kyrgios in Summit Clash tomorrow.
And now let us have a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi is expected to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature will be around 27 and the maximum around 34. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The minimum temperature will be 25 and the maximum around 28 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature will be 27 and the maximum around 33 degrees. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Minimum temperature will be 27 and maximum 34 degrees. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Jammu and Muzaffarabad are expected to have thunderstorm with rain. Leh will have generally cloudy sky. Gilgit will also have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In the south, Hyderabad, Bengaluru and Thiruvananthapuram will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain, and in the northeast, Guwahati, Imphal, Aizawl, Shillong, Itanagar, Kohima, Gangtok and Agartala will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Political crisis deepens in Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe announces he will resign to make way for all-party government amid nationwide protests. Demonstrators break into Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's official residence, asking him to step down. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Natural Farming Conclave at Surat in Gujarat virtually tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah chairs Northern Zonal Council meeting at Jaipur in Rajasthan. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh says Panchayati Raj institutions essential messengers of Prime Minister Modi's public welfare schemes. In Jammu and Kashmir, rescue operation underway after cloudburst at Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine. Tricolour flown half-mast on day of the national mourning across India as a mark of respect to the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu extend greetings on the eve of Eid al-Zuha. In cricket, second T20 between India and England underway in Birmingham, and in Wimbledon tennis, Elena Rybakina clinches women's singles title, defeating Ons Jabeur in the final. Novak Djokovic to take on Nick Kyrgios in the men's singles summit clash tomorrow. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.